you're making a third speech, no one's going to stand up and applaud you at the end. And I'm going to open my speech actually with something that was already mentioned today. Arnie mentioned Helen Keller, and my opening quote is actually from Helen Keller, so I'm like Arnie. Arnie is like a philosopher, but I'm like Arnie. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. This is what Helen Keller said. And with this spirit in mind, in the year 2000, I finally fulfilled a long-standing desire to visit Australia. I had met a number of Australians when I was teaching English in Japan. I found them to be friendly. I found them to be sort of like the American cowboy for the guys, and the girls were kind of free-spirited. I thought, these are interesting people. I've got to go there someday. So in 2000, I made this possible. My rationale for the name of this speech, High Adrenaline, is because of several activities I'm going to mention. But beyond the adrenaline, and more significant, is what each activity taught me. So high adrenaline is like the surface, but below the surface there's a much larger piece of the iceberg. And so each one of these themes would come to have metaphorical significance to me with respect to risk, freedom, and courage. And I came to the conclusion that the things we do in life reflect back who we are, but also the things that we don't do. And in each of these instances, they are high adrenaline, and so they're easy not to do as well. The first one I want to mention is a bungee jump I wanted to try. I didn't know where to do one in the States, but when I got to Cairns in northeastern Australia, bungee jumping is something you can do. How it works, has anyone bungee jumped here? No one? Okay. This particular bungee jump was 140 feet up, about a 14th-story building, so it's moderate by bungee standards. And they put you up, first they tie you up to basically a large rubber band around your feet, and they put you out on a platform, which is about the size of this lectern, about a foot by a foot. And you're standing there, and you're looking down approximately like a 14th-story building. And at the bottom in this one, maybe just to make you feel better, there's this little body of water, like the size of a small pool. Maybe that's supposed to make you feel more like, okay, well, if it breaks, I'll land in the pool. Of course, the pool isn't very deep. But in any case, life becomes very simple when you're standing at the top of a bungee platform. And jumping isn't really what you do. You have two choices. You can say, I can't do this. You tell them, they unhook you, and you walk back down the way you came up. The other is you simply lean forward. That's all you have to do. You don't jump, you just lean. And there's a point at which you decide, okay, I'm going to lean, and then it's like slow motion, and you realize, okay, now gravity's got me, and I can't do anything but go down. So life becomes very focused about this body of water down below you, which is rapidly approaching in one sense, but in another sense, even though the fall is only a few seconds, it feels a lot longer. So it's kind of a paradox, the way bungee works. It's quite thrilling to do. It's quite a relief when it's over. Actually, it's very safe to do, despite the idea that we might think it's risky. My takeaway from this is that things are often more dangerous, or they look more dangerous than they really are. Their success rate is probably 100% if you checked. No one's ever died doing it at their place. So that's good to know. It's probably good to know before you sign up, but I didn't do that. In any case, things are more dangerous than they look. That afternoon, as fate would have it, I signed up for this sort of high adrenaline bundle package. So that afternoon I was doing a skydive for the first time. Has anyone done a skydive here? Okay, a few people? Good. So some of you know how it works. Again, what do? You go up in a plane with a guy that you've known for maybe an hour at the most, who you're entrusting your life with. And you're basically saying, okay, I trust that he's harnessed us together properly, me in front, him behind me. And it's not really a jumping out of an airplane in this instance, it can be, but in this instance it was a small plane, and so it came down to the same thing again. I can say either I can't do this, I don't want to do this, I'll just fly down and be done with it, or you lean out the door. While you're looking down, I gotta say, it sounded like a very good idea when I signed up for it, but when it comes time to actually jump, you don't really want to do it as much as you thought you wanted to do it. In any case, you lean forward or you don't. And then the takeaway I got from this is that if I'm going to jump or lean out of an airplane, after doing that, I'm probably going to have a high tolerance for doing other things that I might consider risky. For example, public speaking or graduate school. So even though I was scared to do it, I found that it elevated my tolerance for risk. The third thing, fortunately not the same day, but the next day, I went on a whitewater rafting trip, which I had never done before. And basically you spend several hours just going down a river. And so what's so exciting about that? Well, that's a good question. What is exciting about that? I'm glad I did it, but I don't really like the motion of it. In any case, the takeaway I got from this was sometimes it's better to go with the flow. You can fight it, but you're not going to win. So sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes you just have to say, I'm just going to go with it. Whatever happens, it tips over, it tips over. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I was wet all day. It was a cold day, as I remember. And they put all of us Americans in one raft for some reason. I didn't have any Australians with me. They were all Americans. So I don't know if there's any meaning behind that. In any case, go with the flow sometimes. Each of these experiences was a high adrenaline experience that was liberating, that expanded my idea of what I thought I could and perhaps could not do. Each equipped me with courage, like I said, to try other things, public speaking, graduate school. I went to graduate school finally, which for me, years ago, would have been pretty unthinkable because I was not an especially good student when I was younger. And in each case, I could have failed. And even though the likelihood is quite low, it's still possible you could fail at any one of these and be seriously injured. But I came away, like I said, with a tolerance, and I think overall, more than anything, a tolerance for failure. I'm really not afraid to fail at anything. Anything you try, I think you get feedback. If it doesn't work out the way you want, it's still a learning experience. So I don't really believe in failure unless you don't try, in which case you fail because you haven't put in an effort. So my final quote, I don't know who said it, but I think it encapsulates what I'm trying to say here. Life begins where? At the end of your comfort zone. If you stay in your comfort zone, you'll be comfortable, obviously, but if you go beyond that, amazing things become possible. Thank you for your attention.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. And Peter, what a fine speech today. The purpose of your project number 2 was to select an appropriate outline which allows us to easily follow and understand your speech, to make your message clear and support it with material, and to use appropriate transitions and create a strong opening, body, and conclusion. And you were right on point today. I think that your speech definitely went with your title of High Adrenaline. Sorry for that up top there, Doctor. I heard several times the use of 3 main points, 3 different main points, which I thought was great, and advance for a speech. That's number 2. Risk, freedom, courage, the different high adrenaline activities, bungee, skydiving, and rafting. And it's the whitewater rapids that make it high adrenaline, I presume. And then you also used the lessons that you got from them. The more dangerous than they appear to be, the high tolerance for risk, and going with the flow. So all of this really made a great beginning, body, and end, and especially putting the quotes in the beginning and end. And if I have some suggestions, it would be that the organization was really good, but I think you can work on your transitions a little bit so that it's a little smoother, especially when you were talking about fear and that lesson of fear for you. That could have been a little bit more clear and smooth. I caught glimpses of vocal variety and body language, and these are projects that are coming up in the future. So I just suggest to embrace them and make them more forward. And then this is a simple one, the last one, is that you use the word of the day. Simile. use the word of the day. You definitely incorporated the quote that Arnie had talked about in the beginning and the speeches before you. So use the word of the day too. Well-prepared speech, clear points, and good use of humor. I can't wait for your next one.